kōrero in this podcast are of a generalised nature. For specific advice, please talk to your tākuta o tohunga.
It's Kōrero Prescriptions. Because kōrero is healing. He rongo a te kōrero. Nau mai, hara mai, ki tēnei paki here roki roki. Kei ngā uri a ngā toroirangi, nau mai ki tēnei paki here roki roki o Kōrero Prescriptions. This is the podcast where kōrero is healing. We delve into your hauora and then you take what you will from the kōrero, which is the prescriptions part. Nō reira, te whānau kia ruku tātou ki e nā kōrero. E te iwi, we are honoured to have Dr. Grace Malcolm with us no ngā iwi o te arawa waka me Tūwharetoa hoki. She is a GP, an award-winning GP e te whānau. Ko te nui ngā wana mahi he mea hei painga mō te iwi no reira. E kui, tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe.
Nau mai haere mai. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Okay, so I've been a general practitioner for about 30 years now, and came through Otago University. Started out in Wellington, but very quickly moved into the rural spaces and the Māori spaces, which is where I've always wanted to be. In medicine, did a stint up in Te Kaha with te whānau Apanui and moved up and down that coast, and that's where I really fell in love. I also saw ran into Hene Lachlan, who's the awesome, amazing nurse practitioner. And it had always been in my mind to find a way to come back and to help my mother's people. And I've never been able to do that because I've always been over on the other side there in Pikiao. So it was my opportunity to be able to come back and do a give back to Tūwharetoa.
And we're honoured to have you back at home. And we are about to dive into a kaupapa that is often not talked about. And I think we need to talk about it. I mean, you know, it's something that's natural and normal and happens to everybody. So we're going to bring it to light, and I'm talking about Ruruhitanga or menopause. Can you tell me sort of why there's a whakamā or like a stigma around talking about this?
Good question. I don't know why there's a whakamā. I can't answer that because in the kind of medical space, if you like, it just is what it is. And sometimes we talk about things that are quite sort of tapu sometimes, but that's just where we have to go. In terms of Māori and women, I think that that's kind of where the whakamā comes from in terms of, you know, it's just something that's talked about, kept in amongst the women. And I don't know that that's a Māori concept. I think that's actually a more concept that's been put on us because I don't believe that Māori really had that issue in the past, hey?
I agree with you. And then that, you know, leads me to my next question is, you know, how do you think our tupuna viewed it? Because they had words for it and they, you know, there's even songs about it.
Yeah, I can't, so that's not my forte, but I can say that it's a natural process and everything that Māori, you know, when it comes to natural processes, it just is what it is. And there's no whakamā and there's no shame and it just is what it is. And it's actually, if anything, any bodily process is treated with the utmost respect, hey?
I know a lot of people, and this is one of the misconceptions, is that menopause encompasses the perimenopause period, the menopause period in post. But we're talking about a specific time, aren't we?
Yeah, it's a specific time in women's lives when things start to change. And when I say they start to change from a medical perspective, women go up right up until about the age of, say, 40, and those are their most fruitful childbearing years. That's not to say that women don't continue to have children after the age of 40. They certainly do, and into even age 50. But what happens with many women is that by the time you get to age 40, things start to change a bit. In other words, the menstrual cycle starts to shift. For some women, it tends to get a bit more, in terms of flow and things like that. It can get heavier, tends to get a bit irregular, can become more painful, can become more troublesome. Not to say that even in the younger years, it's not troublesome in that time. And I mean troublesome in terms of it's not an easy experience, the menstrual cycles. Hey, women get pain. Mm-hmm. Inconvenience. It's not the easiest of processes to go through, but it just is what it is. Yeah. And so while it is a process that brings about, the life-sustaining birth, it brings our children and our whānau, and that's the beauty of the process itself. It's not without its, women do have to endure. Yeah, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I feel like that's a superpower within itself, because, we could be doing our mahi looking absolutely normal, but there's a lot going on.
Well, you're right, and that's and so women tend to talk about it amongst themselves, hey, when they get into their groups, and yes, they're very frank and open about what's going on for them. And you're right in terms of it's a superpower, if you like, because when we're out in the open, no one would know, and no one is kind of meant to know. Yeah. It's for, if you like, behind closed doors. It's for us to talk about with our own female, counterparts.
Oh, yeah. And so at the very sort of basic level, it's hormonal changes. What are some of the symptoms that come with it?
So, for example, some women, they can go into that perimenopausal time from age 40, and it might not finish actually until age 60. And, that's just in terms of
20 years
of change and flux and menopause and hormonal changes. And even having said that, even after, menstruation has ceased, women can still go up to age 80 and still have menopausal symptoms. That's how significant they can be. Some women, and if you understand that, like, say, 95% of women will fall in this range, under the bell curve, 95% of women or 90% of women will fall in that range, and there are some who are on either side. And so aroha to those women who have the quite severe symptoms of menopausal changes, it is quite significant, and it's not always easy for women. Anything to do with medicine, I get it's quite sort of alien, it's quite foreign to the body, and there are many people who object quite strenuously to taking synthetic drugs.
Well,
medication for natural.
You know what? I was gonna go there. I was gonna go there because I grew up with all these nannies who still had black hair, who had beautiful skin, and later realised, okay, there's something called hair dye, but also they used to tell people that was their natural hair, and And then they all went to this one doctor. And he was handsome, and everybody talked about this one handsome doctor. And then I wondered why he was the favourite, and it's because he was giving them HRT.
Okay.
So what is this? Tell us what this is and why it kept our nannies young with black hair.
I don't know that it kept them young with the black hair, but I understand what you mean. So the HRT, and it does work. What it does, when women go through menopause, what is actually happening is that their estrogen levels are reducing. So when they're in their most reproductive years, the estrogen levels and the progestogen levels, those are the two main ones. They go up and down depending on where in the cycle you are and depending on where the whare tangata actually needs support and be able to, one, conceive, and also in order to be able to hold a pregnancy and then to be able to deliver. And so depending on where in a cycle women are, the hormones go up and down and they fluctuate, as well as some other hormones. When women become probably, say, less, they're not in the heyday of their reproductive years, they're getting towards the end, then particularly estrogen levels tend to deteriorate. So much so that women have symptoms that affect their moods, that affect their sleeping, that affect them physically, that affect all sorts of things. And so it's actually, and I say it sort of funnily, but it's actually quite serious. It's a time to beware, because women going through menopause, they can be tigresses, that because the moods are so, because there's irritability, there can be depression, there can be insomnia, difficulty sleeping. They can have symptoms where they've got all these hot flushes coming through. They can, it affects their skin, it can affect their hair, not to mention the menstrual cycle where they've just got heavy bleeding going on, they're sore, they're painful, they're mummy. There are lots of changes that actually occur during menopause, and they're not necessarily very nice things for women to put up with. So in that respect, hormone replacement therapy, which is estrogen, it lifts the level of estrogen in the body again, so that women aren't so bothered by the symptoms.
Right.
And there are actually some real physical issues too around menopause, and women who are going through menopause, they're more at risk of heart conditions at that time. If women are generally going to have a heart attack, it's when they're going through menopause, or when they've gone through menopause. You don't generally hear of women who are fit and healthy having heart attacks, because their hormone levels are at normal levels where their hearts are protected.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and there's also the issue around bone, women who...
Density.
Bone density, the bones can get quite weak and they end up with fractures and things like that. So there are some...
So this is where it changes from I fell over to had a fall.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Had a fall and broke my wrist, and had a fall and broke my hip.
Yeah.
That's
mate.
how it happens. Yeah.
Now the light bulb is going off.
Yeah, and so that's because the protective effects of the hormones is no longer there. So it's not a good place
You're not selling this to me, It's it's right at the next stage of my life, and it's not sounding too attractive. So
so how can women kind of what are the best ways to be able to manage it? And of course there is HRT, and for some women it's a lifesaver. And they've tried many other things, and that's the only thing that will work for them.
So it affects people differently.
Right. All medicine affects people differently, and so that's probably one of the messages I do want to kind of sort of put out here in this kōrero. And it's not just about menopause; it's about medicine in general. First and foremost, there's the issue around dietary health, around eating the right way to support your body, and people can eat. You can have Mediterranean diets, you can have keto diets, you can have there are lots of different ways of eating, but the way that people need to eat is the way that suits them. There are anti-inflammatory diets that will actually help people to manage things like arthritis, women who get lots of pain, and even in terms of menopause, anti-inflammatory diets, a way of eating. Yep. And you can just Google them. You can get Google to make up a whole monthly eating plan. Gemini on Google, AI. It will make you up a whole monthly menu plan about how to deal with menopause or the symptoms of menopause.
Use AI, Te whānau. You heard it here first from a medical professional. Sometimes AI works.
Use AI. It's a good tool.
Yeah.
It's a good tool. So I'll give you an example. I've used the AI in terms of menu plans for some of my patients. I've run them past the dietitians. There's nothing much that the dietitians can add except maybe instead of using this much, instead of 1.5 grams per kilo, maybe do 1 gram per kilo or something like that. So the information is really good.
Right.
So my point is, always it's about dietary, and so when I talked about plant estrogens, you can look up on the internet all the plant estrogens that are available. You can ask AI to put together a menu that utilises those plant estrogens, that puts them in a menu plan for you. You can do it for your age, your height and your weight and your medical conditions, and it will do that for you. So that's the first step is food.
Lifestyle.
Let's eat our medicine, hey? Let medicine, who was it? Socrates or someone. Let your medicine be your food. So that's the big message. Any condition, go first to the food space.
Kai tuatahi.
Yeah.
You touched on it, the effect on mental health. I think, we grow up seeing the grumpy aunties and we just think, how did they get there? There's a whole lot of stuff going on behind that, and all we see is, the wrath of it. What is it that, I guess, induces anxiety, depression, and rage?
Good question. And it is purely the drop in estrogen.
Right.
It just doesn't. And I guess you can go into the pathways, the neural pathways in terms of how it affects mental health. But on a simple level, it's the drop in estrogen that affects the different pathways that sustain moods, that sustain balance. The body's own balancing systems.
Right.
And to be honest, sometimes the symptoms are like irritability, depression, libido, sexual libido. Couples can divorce. That's how severe.
I was going to say, the effects on relationships must be huge.
Yeah. It is. It's quite significant. And couples can go through quite significant, they can go through breakups or near breakups, or lots of the relationships get very strained unless there's a real understanding around what's actually going on.
Right.
One, what's causing it, and then two, around what the remedies are to be able to help you move through it. So generally what happens with HRT now, it's given as a patch. That's the easiest way to give it, and so the hormones just go into the skin. And there are different grades or concentrations or doses of the of estrogen that are in those patches. They can very quickly help to alleviate the symptoms.
There's the common ones, right? The hot flushes, the insomnia. What are the ones that are least talked about?
So if I just read you off, like a list of symptoms that occur, and I don't often remember them all, but when women say them, go, yeah, that's a symptom of menopause. So these are things like hot flushes, lightheaded, headaches, brain fog, irritability, depression, unloved feelings, anxiety, mood changes, sleeplessness, unusual tiredness, backache, joint pains, muscle pains, new facial hair, dry skin, crawling feelings under the skin, less sexual feelings, dry vagina, uncomfortable intercourse, urinary frequency. Those are just some of them. Those are the...
Okay.
And so, and it's not nice when women come in and they're ticking this score sheet.
Yeah.
And they tick all of them, and you can grade them from like 1, 2, 3, 3 being the most severe and 1 being least. And women tick 3 all the way down. You get how severe the symptoms are for them. It's quite disturbing and debilitating for women. Yeah.
Well, there we go. E te whānau kau e whakamā. And I guess too with, just even approaching medical professionals about it, we talked a lot with Dr. Leanne about advocating for yourself. So if you don't feel heard, go to someone else and keep going until you find someone to take you seriously, I guess.
So do talk, do go in. Don't sit at home and stress and wonder and think that there's nothing that can be done or that this is just particular to you. Any situations like this that are causing stress, anxiety, relationship difficulties especially, it's just not you. Things have changed. It's not how you normally are. Women who have been quite mellow and beautiful and, everyone thinks that they're the bomb. Menopause can turn them into an absolute witch. So don't think that there's nothing that can be done. Just go and see a clinician.
There you go, e te whānau. If your husband's about to walk out the door on you, just go, hang on, blame it on the menopause, and then go and see a doctor. And take your husband. Might just save your marriage, e te whānau. Engari, e mihi ana ki a koe, mō I hora iwe nei kōrero. Thank you. Because I think it shed a whole lot of light on things that have lived in the dark. So thank you very, very much. But that's us on menopause today, e te whānau, for Kōrero Prescriptions. We hope you enjoyed the kōrero and have found some little gems to take away. Nō reira, e te whānau, ko tēnei mātou, kei raro.
Production by Tūwharetoa Mohi. Post-production Raiha Paki. Director Raylene Walker. Production Manager Sierra Tullett. Producer Tūpautama Paki. Presenter Researcher Raiha Paki. Executive Producer Leanne Puohotaua. Reo and tikanga QA Hinana Media. Production House Tūwharetoa On.
Kia ora whakapiki ora is our opportunity now to put into action the aspirations of our people. Really important because it's helping us to come together as providers for our whānau. So not even that whānau for our whānau. Kai mahi. we're either tūwharetoa by whakapapa or we're tūwharetoa because we live in this rohe. And so when you peel some of those layers back, actually the challenges become opportunities to come together as whanaunga and opportunities to work better together.
So our whakapapa is to support our kaumātua to access services.
I hope to see come out of it is that we actually be real, we be honest, and we look at each other as whānau, not as providers and all the dissections that we have.